All right. Well, welcome to Between Sundays. My name is Nathan. I am the host this week. I'm sitting down with Andrew Foster. He just preached a sermon about generosity. It's generosity part two. So we're going to sit down. We're going to discuss about this for a little while and kind of see what the Lord brings up and see if we can go a little bit deeper on it.
Sounds
Um,
good.
I want to start with the question that we usually start with, that we haven't been starting with for a while, kind of, and that's the question of, has anything else come up, maybe in conversation with somebody else, or thoughts, or just as you've been processing after Sunday, that you were like, oh, this is an interesting piece or take on this point that I made
Mm-hmm.
in the sermon.
No.
No.
No, I'm kidding.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah,
Podcast's over now.
I wanted to throw you for a loop right off the bat. But truthfully, there hasn't been a whole lot of deeper stuff or extra stuff,
Yeah.
that's come out of it. Um, I can't really honestly remember where in between I landed between the end of the previous week and then the beginning of this last week, which
Yeah.
is talking about just the God's presence,
Yeah.
and in the incarnation of it, where John 1:14 talks about how so the word became flesh or human and made his home among us. He was full of unfailing love and faithfulness. I think I talked about it a bit, but I'm still stuck on the idea about the generosity of his presence.
Yeah.
That God made his home among us, right? And in the
Yeah.
Greek, it's the word that he tabernacled among us. It's drawing that correlation between the tabernacle of Moses,
Yeah.
in the Old Testament, about where the presence of God would dwell, and how when Jesus came, he came, his presence dwelt among us, right?
Yeah.
And now we also are, the Holy Spirit dwells now inside of us, right?
Yeah.
Our bodies are now a living temple, unto the Lord. And so I've kept having that thought come in my head of how amazing is it that Jesus tabernacled, that he pitched his tent, right? Is the idea of it, that he dwelt
Yeah.
among us, that he
Yeah.
came, and that the Holy Spirit dwells in us,
Yeah.
and the I think we hear it so often, it's an easy thing to get used to and to make light of, but the fact that the Spirit of God, the same Spirit the Bible says that raised Christ from the dead, right, lives inside of you
Yeah.
is such an important thing. It's
Yeah.
such a big thing. And
Yeah. I was listening to your sermon, and I was like, man, this is all like very basic, just
Yeah.
like even just understanding who Christ is and what he did,
Mhm.
and how generous it was for him to do
Yeah.
what he did. And I think one of the questions I had, and it's more basic question, is like, what do people get wrong about generosity? And we can even tie that into the Lord's generosity, because oftentimes when I think about what the Lord has done, because I've been in the Christian circle for so long, I don't think about the generosity of it.
Yeah.
Just because it
Yeah.
happened, and the Lord came and he did what he did, and he's good for it.
Yeah.
And generosity, I just never tie. It's not common that I tie it to that.
Yeah.
That the
For sure.
generosity.
Yeah.
So what would you say, like, we get maybe wrong about it, or maybe we get lax in it? Kind of
Yeah.
like,
I don't know necessarily. Correct me if I'm going off on a different tangent here than
Go on
where
a
you're
tangent.
trying to go for it. But I think the understanding of generosity, right, is that, like we looked at in John 3:16, which we talked about before, that God's generosity came out of his love,
Yeah.
right? And so it's John 3:16 says, "For God so loved the world
Yeah.
that he gave his only begotten son." Jesus later, says that greater love knows no one than this, that he laid down his life for his friend, right? That the idea of being generous with your life always first comes from the place of being loved or from love, right? And
Yeah.
so my generosity is tied to the fact that God loved me. Jesus sacrificed his life for me because of what was done for me on the cross. I
Yeah.
have the ability to be generous and be generous in extravagant ways, right?
Yeah.
And so I think obviously then we know that because God was generous, because Jesus was generous, we get to live it out. I think a lot of people, I think the struggle for a lot of people is that, and I've said this, but we have understandings tied to our own experience on what generosity is.
Mm.
And I always think that's one of the hardest places is I never want to tie generosity or understand generosity from what the world says it is, or simply even from my experience. I always want generosity to be tied to who God is and what God did for me. And so since he was so extravagant, right? Because he gave his son, because Jesus gave his life. I always want my understanding and my living out, the practical living out of generosity to be tied to who God is and what he has done.
Yeah.
It's never tied to just my immediate understanding of what I've seen.
Yeah.
So, because I think we can put, we like to measure things,
Yeah.
right? Humans like to measure things. We like to understand. We like formulas. We like equations. We like to have understanding for things. We are driven with a thirst for knowledge, a thirst to understand. And I don't think generosity can be something that we quantify. I don't think it's supposed to be. I think it should be supernatural in nature.
Yeah.
Where generosity should be that thing that it is not based off of merely my understanding, but it's based off of who God is. And when I step into kingdom generosity, I am moving from giving simply from what I have, from what I see in the earthly sense, to partnering with God to see heaven, released and go. And so that means I'm moving in generosity in different ways. So I think a lot of people want to measure generosity, right? And I think generosity should be a never-ending thing. I mean, Psalms 23, I think I mentioned this on Sunday too, but it talks about, when David is writing Psalms 23, he makes this statement, that his cup runneth over, right? That because of God is so generous even to David, even when he's walking through the valley of the shadow of death, he won't feel, an evil. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemy. You anoint my head with oil, and my cup runs over. Like, that's, to me, even a picture of the generosity of God, that even me sitting at a table in the presence of those who are against me, God's generosity is still seen, where he doesn't just fill my cup up to the top. He doesn't even fill it up to the seam on top. He fills it till it literally is overflowing.
Yeah.
And I want my life to be marked by a generosity in everything I do that doesn't just bless people, but it overflows their cups.
Yeah.
I want to be so generous that people are like, well, that was above and beyond. Like, that was more than what I asked for.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, exactly. Like, I want to be generous like my Father is generous.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just thinking about some of the responses we got from the Blessing the City that we did.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Talk about that.
So when we, every year, I'll just give some detail. Every year we like to bless the city, and we pick organizations to pour into. Usually we just give money and just say, hey, do whatever you need with this.
Yeah. So just for a little more clarification on it. Excuse me. We've done different things where one year for the police, we bought them hats, bought them beanies and everything, and gave them hats. Yeah. Sometimes we've given just money to organizations. When it was Salem for Refugees once, or a few times, we helped pay for their big fundraising dinner. So it's just different ways. How can we sow into the city? We've done churches before, just given churches money that the Lord's highlighted and said, hey, we just want to sow into what you're doing. Here's just some money, no strings attached. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean,
we've done money, we've done hats. This year, though, I was just amazed by the response that we got from people. Yeah. Because it was specific organizations that we were able to reach out to and be like, hey, how can we bless your volunteers, the people that are actually doing the thing, or your teachers? And the responses we got of like, you want to do that for us? It was like, it did something to my heart of like, actually, we don't just want to give you money. We want to bring you lunch. We want to give you a gift, which has something in it for you. Like you're getting something. But like these people that generally get overlooked, we get to be generous towards. And as you're like, talking about generosity, it just brings that reminder up to me of like, man, even when maybe it doesn't make sense, or even when it may be hard, or it's something I normally do, this simple act can bless this person and can overflow their cups. And then it's overflowing my cup because I'm seeing the joy that they get by the simple act of kindness that I'm giving them.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think I try to have the understanding that when my generosity always flows from the place that what I have is not mine, it belongs to the Lord. Yeah. Right? And so even as a church, right, when we try to give to the city, when we try to bless our city, when we try to love on those in our congregation and beyond our congregation, right, our goal is always, what we have belongs to the Lord,
Yeah.
right? And so what does it look like to give and to bless other organizations, to bless other people? Generosity, I believe, right,
Yeah.
doesn't require a response in return.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to give something to you, I'm not looking for you to give me something back.
Yeah.
Generosity is not to earn favor. Generosity is not to,
Yeah.
get I don't know, all the things,
Yeah.
right? It's not a manipulation tactic, right?
Totally.
If I'm giving only with the interest of receiving something back, then I'm not being generous, I'm being manipulative.
Yeah.
And so true generosity, I think, gives, much like love, since it
Yeah.
comes from love first, it comes from a place of wanting to simply bless, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's also the idea that generosity, I don't even know how I would say it. It's not measured, right, by what you stockpile or what you hoard. It's measured by what you release. And if I believe that I'm a steward of everything in my life, I do not believe my money belongs to me. I believe it belongs to the Lord. I don't believe my time is my time. I believe I have surrendered it to God for him to use my time for what I want. My
Yeah.
strengths, my weaknesses, everything. And so I view myself and the life I live as a steward of what God has given me.
Yeah.
When I'm stewarding something that belongs to someone else and they tell me to give and be generous with it, it is easy.
Yeah.
I gave the example of Caden a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
right? We went shopping for something for Steph.
Yeah.
He was willing to spend a lot more money than I
Than
was
you.
willing to spend.
Yeah.
But his idea was, well, Dad, you're here, you're going to pay for it, right? I, that needs to be my mindset within how I steward everything I have, is that I'm stewarding what the Lord has given me. My life is because God has created me. My life is surrendered to the Lord. My finances, my words, my time, my energy. So when I am generous, true kingdom generosity, it is not giving out of what I have. It is giving out of what I am stewarding for God.
That's good.
If someone who owns something tells me, if I have a car and I say, Nathan, I want you to borrow this car. Like, you need a vehicle, borrow this car, right?
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. You're like, great, I'll use it. And then you get a car and I go, Nathan, I want you to go give that car to that other person. Awesome. Great. It's not personal.
Yeah.
Because it didn't belong to you in the first place.
Yeah.
You're simply using something that I've given you. You're stewarding something I have given you.
Yeah.
That is how I want to live with generosity, because true kingdom generosity is based off of what God has done, that what I have is the Lord's.
Yeah.
So when he tells me to be generous, to go bless the city, to go do different things, it doesn't hurt. It's not painful. It's not a challenge. It's not true. It is sometimes. I don't want it to be, though, because I want my mindset to be what I have belongs to the
Yeah.
Lord. I am stewarding what he has given me.
Yeah. That is a challenge. It shouldn't be, but it is.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, you talked a lot about Mary. And you talked a lot about Joseph.
Yep.
And the different levels of obedience
Yeah.
that they both had. And I thought that Mary,
Yeah.
being one of your prime examples of just being generous and saying yes to that
Mhm.
gift, even though she knew what it would cost her,
Yeah.
and could cost her,
Could cost her,
right?
yeah, for
And
sure.
same with Joseph. When he had the dream, and the Lord said, "You have to,
Yeah,
you're gonna go do
Take
this.
Mary
and
as your wife.
take Mary as your wife,"
Yeah.
and now Jesus is your stepson,
Yeah,
essentially.
essentially. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, the sacrifice he had to make, knowing what that would mean for him,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
but he said yes and he did it. And I think, as Americans, I think it's a struggle. I
Yeah.
think it's a big struggle, especially when we're talking about finances or anything like around those types
Yeah.
of things. How would you encourage somebody that maybe, because I've been in it,
Yeah.
I'm tight with money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I feel like the Lord's telling me I need to give
Yeah.
this. What I have left is I need to give it. What would you say to somebody that maybe has been stuck in that rut without trying to get all prosperity gospel of
Mhm.
give and the Lord will bless you, but
No,
also just an
that's a good
encouragement?
clarification, though, because we talked about that too.
Yeah.
Right. That the Bible talks about, right, how God will bless you, that it's more blessed to give than receive. But oftentimes Americans, in our understanding,
Yeah.
we tie blessing to finances
Yeah.
or to physical things.
Yeah.
And that's not always what it means at
Yeah.
all. Sometimes God blessing you is bringing relationships into your life that you didn't know you need, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's you forming connections. Sometimes it's you getting to see a breakthrough in someone, that when God blesses your generosity, like, what you sow, you will reap, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the things you reap, I don't believe directly correspond to the thing you sowed. In
Yeah.
the natural, that works well. If I plant an apple seed, I grow an apple tree.
Yeah.
In the kingdom, God doesn't always bless you with the exact thing you sowed, but I believe he blesses you with the things you need
Yeah.
and the things that are going to bless your life in the long term.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think God will bless you with finances when you sow finance. Like all those things I think are true,
Yeah.
but I think you don't get to choose how God's blessing shows up in your life.
Yeah.
So if I am giving something, even finances, with with the belief that, okay, now God will give me more money, right? Then that's manipulation. First
Yeah.
off, I'm giving to get. I'm not truly being generous, right? And so I'm going to give this as unto the Lord, allow the Lord to use it for however he will for his kingdom,
Yeah.
release my ownership on it because I never owned it anyways. It was his.
Yeah.
I'm just giving it back to him. And then however he chooses to bless me, I'm going to believe it's because he's a good father who knows what I need and has my best interest at heart.
Yeah.
So
Because at that point,
first.
at that point, you're not a cheerful giver.
Yeah.
You're
You're reluctant and manipulative.
Yeah, you're a manipulative giver, which doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, the Lord does say, "Test me."
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
In giving, that's something he tells you can test him on.
But he doesn't say try to manipulate me
Yeah.
and see if it will work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we have to be very just cautious and careful of it because the Bible is very clear.
Yeah.
Like, if you sow, you will reap.
Yeah.
Right. If you do sow in your finances, you will reap. But I believe in sowing in every area of my life. So with my time, I believe that I serve. Right. So it really comes down to: do you view your life? Is your life yours? Right. Is everything I have mine? Nathan's, Andrew Foster's. Is it mine? Because if I view everything as being mine and it's mine alone, then it is hard to be generous quite often with it. Yeah. If I view it as the Lord's and I'm just stewarding what he has given me, then I am willing to sow with it. I'll give you this example. We went through a crazy beginning of this year with church stuff. Yeah. Where we had an issue with the city. We had a lot of questions around stuff. And we were looking at this big project we would have to do that would cost way more money than we have as a church, and then also the possibility of maybe being forced to sell our property and move. I mean, we had all these different things on the table, right? Yeah. And so I remember talking with our eldership team, and I'm like, you know what? Ultimately, this church, the land, the property belongs to the Lord. It doesn't belong to us. We are stewarding his church. The people, the building, the facility, I believe it all belongs to God. Yeah. So if God wants to take something that we're stewarding and use it for something else, he has every right to do it. Yeah. So if we have to sell this church and move, have to sell the property, surrender it, go to something else, it can be painful. It can be sad. That can be hard. But ultimately, if we have the belief that it belongs to God, he's allowed to take back things that are his, and he's allowed to use them for other things. Yeah. Right? That's hard. That's painful. Well, because we've built this church. We've sowed into this church. Yeah. We've done that. No. Like, have you truly done it as unto the Lord, or have you done it as unto yourself? Yeah. If God asked me to give, if God asked me to surrender something, right? Yeah. And I go, no, this is mine. I've built this. I've worked for this. This is my thing, right? If I'm automatically, I don't think I'm living in a surrendered life. Yeah. I don't think I've truly given my life to the Lord. Maybe I've sacrificed, my soul to him, but he doesn't have permission to touch anything else in my life. I'm not truly a disciple at that point. Right? Yeah. I'm a participant in a Sunday show that I show up to watch, but I've not truly given to him. So I'm not perfect at this, but I tried to hold the mindset, right? The understanding that what I have is not mine. It is God's first, and I am stewarding it. So when God says give, and it's extravagant or it's hard, if he says call this person and I'm exhausted, I don't feel like I have the energy. If he says you need to show up to this and serve, and I just don't even know if I can do it, but I do not view the things he asked me to do as just, I view everything I have as me stewarding what he's given. And so then I'm going to respond and give. I'm going to give it as he asked me to.
Yeah. How do you flip the switch? Because I don't think everyone is in that position.
No, and it's not like it's an easy, like it takes
I mean,
works in progress.
I mean, the way I see it, it's like you're constantly just saying yes to the things that the Lord is telling you to do. Uh-huh. But like, how do you even get somebody to recognize that? Because I can recognize that in areas of my life where I haven't surrendered this actually fully to the Lord. And if he were to ask me today to do this, it's kind of like the rich young ruler. Uh-huh.
Great example.
I even said this once. I said, I don't want to get to a point in my life where I'm in that position and the Lord tells me to give everything, and it sinks my heart.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm sure he was depressed
Yeah.
after that because he's like, well, I guess I'm not.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not going to heaven because I don't want to get rid
I
of all
want
my
to give
stuff.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, because he viewed it as his.
Yeah.
Like it was only.
Yeah,
It was his kingdom. He was building his
yeah.
kingdom.
And Jesus tells us, to pick up our cross.
Yeah.
You were just saying like, you may have said yes to the Lord, but
Yeah.
have you fully surrendered everything?
Yeah.
That means picking up your cross and following him
Yeah.
and actually doing what he told the rich young ruler to do, which was to sell all your possessions and give it away.
Yeah.
I mean, our as Americans,
Yeah.
I would say probably more like westernized countries,
Yeah.
is very hard to do that,
Mhm.
to just give it all,
Yeah.
to the Lord or for the Lord, because we view things as mine, 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 mine.
Yeah.
And so I think, I mean, I know I kind of answered the question,
Yeah,
but
great
maybe
job.
there's wisdom that you have, because I know you are good with that because I've
Mm.
seen it in your life, even towards my wife and I. And so
Yes.
I-
I'll
Yeah.
give you the quick rundown for it. Are you building your kingdom or are you building the Lord's kingdom? First and foremost, right? A lot of people build their kingdom, right?
Yeah.
When Jesus teaches us how to pray, what does he teach his disciples? Our Father who art in heaven, your kingdom come, your will be done, right? So first and foremost, right? I can underline that and say, am I building my kingdom or the Lord's? Okay, if I'm building the Lord's kingdom, then I'm praying for his will to be done, his way, not mine. So automatically then, if I have areas of my life where it's my way first, then the Lord's way, then I'm building my kingdom, I'm not building his.
Yeah.
And if I'm giving out of my kingdom, I'm giving out of a limited source
Yeah.
of something. If I'm giving out of his kingdom, right, then I'm actually giving out of an unlimited source.
Yeah.
And so I always partner with him, and I ask myself the question, am I building mine or my kingdom, or am I building his?
Yeah.
Right? So any area where I believe something is mine first is an area where it's my kingdom that I'm building.
Yeah.
Right? And I never I'm not here to build my kingdom.
Yeah.
I'm not here to build my church. Yeah. Right? It is the Lord's church. I steward it. It's the Lord's finances. I steward it. Right? I mean, I can think of so many times in me and my wife's life where we have had to sacrificially do things, move, sell things, give up things, because the Lord said, I want you to do this. And there was a cost and a major sacrifice that went with it. But I am not building my kingdom, right? A lot of people earn their gratification and their identity out of the things they own, the things they do, and the things they possess.
Yeah.
Because other people look at that and think it means that they're doing well, they have it together, right? So oftentimes we build our own kingdoms out of the desire to be appreciated by man, for other people to like us, to think that we have it all together and that we're amazing, right?
Yeah.
And so we build up our kingdom so people can look and go, wow, look at Nathan's house. Wow, he must be doing really well. And look at his clothes and his car. And oh, I heard he had that job. Wow, he must have such a great education. And all these things, right? It's building your personal kingdom. Now, can you have a nice house and still serve Jesus? Yes, of course you can. Can you be extremely educated and still serve Jesus? I hope so, because my wife is. So all the things, right?
Yeah.
Like that's all true. But are you building it for yourself, or are you building it as unto the Lord? Is it, your will be done, your kingdom come? Or is it, that's my will first. I'd love your kingdom to be attached to it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. Kingdoms can only have one ruler. Is it going to be Jesus or is it going to be you?
Yeah.
Right. And yes, there might be areas in your life you surrendered.
Yeah.
Awesome. Beautiful. Is it every area?
Yeah.
Do you have to split the hair on your generosity?
Yeah.
Because then I would say, it's probably your kingdom right now you're building.
Yeah.
Well, I've already given before, or I've done this before, or I've talked to that person so many times. Like, you can give all the reasons, but no, hey, this isn't about what I'm building. I'm not building for me.
Yeah.
I'm building for him. And so I'm willing to do it, even if it is sacrificially. And he's faithful to take care of you. And I truly believe that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean maybe you don't tighten your belt. It doesn't mean you don't change habits. It doesn't mean maybe you're tired and exhausted. Like that's,
you're naming everything.
Whatever.
And everything I'm feeling right now.
yeah, right. Like that's just like, that's okay. Like it's not, the promise from Jesus was never that
It's going to be easy.
it would be easy. You would have mountains of money.
Yeah.
Everyone would like you, and that every day would be sunshine and rainbows. No, I mean, That was never the
Yeah.
promise, right? But he does promise he's going to be with you.
Yeah.
I'd
And then
rather,
he'd take care of you.
and he's going to take care of me. I would
Yeah.
always rather have God with me,
Yeah.
than have money with me. I'd
Yeah.
always rather have God with me than have things of this earth with me. His presence is more valuable than the things that I own. And
Yeah.
so if me being with him means sometimes I have to surrender the things I own constantly, great. I'm
Yeah.
so down to do it. We did it even with our first house, right? Where we didn't have money. So God asked us to be generous with supporting mission. We like supporting missionaries.
Yeah.
We support missionaries a lot.
Yeah.
We do it as a church. Me and Steph do it personally,
Yeah.
right? And so we had someone who was like a local missionary, and they were serving a church organization here in town, raising money for it. We wanted to give and serve. We literally went to the Lord and were like, how can we do this? Because we feel like we're supposed to, right? And the only thing we had was a bedroom, right? And that was all we had. So I'm
Yeah.
like, well, we have a bedroom in our house. We don't have money because we were very, 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 very poor then.
Yeah.
But we have a room. We could let this person offer it to them.
Yeah.
They can live with us for free. We'll cover their bills, utilities. When we make food, we'll try to feed them when we can, and do that. And that's how we supported them
Yeah.
for a couple of years, right? And so our generosity wasn't in our finances in the sake of here's cash.
Yeah.
Our generosity was, hey, we're going to open up our home,
Yeah.
right? And so, because our house wasn't ours, it belonged to the Lord. Is it comfortable to have people living with you all the time?
No.
No. The amount of people that we had come through that house in that season of our lives, astronomical.
Yeah.
The amount of people. And we would pray, and Lord, are we supposed to let this person stay with us? Should we open our room? Should we not? Like, we ran like a hostel sometimes, I felt like, for free for a lot of people, or very low.
Yes.
If we did charge
It's
anything,
very low.
it was extremely cheap. So
My wife and I benefited
your
from that.
wife lived with us for a while. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we had multiple, people come through, but
Yeah.
that was what generosity for us looked like in that season,
Yeah.
right? Because that's what we had. I've had seasons where my generosity was in my service, and of my time
Yeah.
and my energy. And, it's just, I don't view it as mine,
Yeah.
right? And because of that, because I'm partnering with God's kingdom, I do view as the resources being unlimited in the sake of he is able, when I am weak, he is able to be strong.
Yeah.
So I'm not giving out of just what I have. I'm partnering with him. And that's a big difference. And so Mary saying, let it be according to your will, right?
Yeah.
Let it be, right? That's such an amazing thing because you look at her as being so young.
Yeah.
Right. And Mary's generosity is not in money, right?
Yeah.
It's the gift is in her reputation. The gift is in her body, her future, what it could mean,
Yeah.
right? That was generosity for her in that moment. And I think we said it right, but I think I want my generosity to be, God, you can spend my life for your purpose.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, And I've made that commitment since a young man.
Yeah.
But it's easy to fall out of it in certain areas. And so I
100%.
always want to go, you can spend my life for your purpose. My reputation, you're allowed to ruin my reputation if it means I'm being obedient to you and I'm going to lift you high. That's hard. And that can be dumb sometimes. It can feel dumb. You're like, I cannot believe this is my reputation, or this is what people's perspective of me is, but I'm going to serve what God is asking me to do, even if
Yeah.
it's like, I want to be faithful. I'm going to
Even
be
if it's
obedient.
going to challenge you and challenge your
Even if it
faith and-
hurts a little bit, or hey, be generous with, I don't know. There's been so many things over the years. Be generous with my life plans. I'm going to surrender them down, and
Yeah.
it's yours ultimately, God. I've surrendered my life to you. If you want to upend my life from how I think it should be going and what should be happening, you're allowed to do that. I have to sell my house in order to do what you're asking. I'll sell my house. That's how I've lived. That's how me and Steph, I believe, have lived our lives.
Yeah.
And we've been very purposeful with it.
Yeah.
She has her PhD.
Yeah.
She felt like the Lord called her into that.
Yeah.
She went to that. We sacrificed for that. We were faithful in that.
Yeah.
We thought it was just going to be a master's, and then God said, "Go back to school. You need to keep going." And I'm like, kidding
When
me?
is this gonna
Like
end?
this is a marathon at this point, So
Yeah.
then we go back to school. We do it, and we both feel like God has called us to work. I work at the church. She works, at the hospital she works at, and we both felt like God said, "This is what we're going to do." And so there's a level of generosity with our kids right now that we're seeing because we're not stay-at-home parents,
Yeah.
right? And that's hard. And part of us, we've wrestled with it a lot, but we're like, this is how God has asked us to serve in this time, is to be in the areas he has placed us. And so we're going to trust God. We're going to trust that he is faithful to also look after even our kids.
Yeah.
Right. For it. And we're going to do everything we can, right, for them. I'm going to take time off when I can take time off. I'm going to be present. I'm going to do the thing. Right.
Yeah.
But our generosity exists as a family. It doesn't just exist as individuals.
That's good.
So
That's really good.
Yeah.
I don't know where to go from there. That was.
I don't know. You're in charge. I'm following.
You said you had said a quote. Sometimes generosity isn't in your budget; it's in the interruption you didn't ask for.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's really what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is just living from a place of being able to be interrupted by the Lord.
Yeah.
No matter the what it's gonna do to you or your life.
Yeah.
And not that the Lord's gonna destroy your life,
Mm-hmm.
but he's gonna challenge it at times. And I think, I know we keep saying it, but in this country, in the world we live in, it is so challenging
Mm-hmm.
for people to step out of their comfort zone and just be like, yeah, I'm at $0 in my bank account because the Lord told me to give everything that I had. And I mean, I recognize it in me at times of just being stuck in this, like, I need to hold on to this because it's all I got.
Yeah.
And I think as we're, going into more of generosity topics, I know, you're going to have that conversation about finances and the challenges of that. And it comes up a lot because we're in the country we're in,
Yeah.
like you said, So I'm encouraged by this conversation because it's not just about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's about, what does your life look like?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Jesus says to lay it all down.
Mm-hmm.
Picking up a cross means you don't got anything else,
Yep.
any room to carry anything
Yeah.
else. And so it's how are we as a church
Mm-hmm.
moving forward? I actually would love to hear that. What do you see moving forward as the body of Life Church?
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like for us to move into a deeper level of generosity?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can give you the basics
Yeah.
that we're doing right now, right?
Yeah.
And so one of our big beliefs is giving towards missions and outreach,
Yeah.
right? So that's area number one.
We've been doing that for a while.
We've been doing that for a while. So we started with tithing off of our tithe, right? So 10% of whatever came into Life Church, of the tithe, 10% of any tithe that came in automatically went to missions and outreach.
Yeah.
10% of it. As of so here in the next 2 weeks, as of right now, we're at 18%.
Yeah.
As of this next year, we're at 19%. Our long term is the following year will be at 20%.
Yeah.
So our goal is 20% of whatever tithe walks through these doors automatically flows right back out.
Yeah.
And that's separate from even the other things that we do, but that's just a commitment that we have in our generosity, right? That we want to give, we want to serve, we want to just be generous with that. On the financial side, right, of it, that's one way. I told our leadership team and eldership team a couple of years ago in our yearly get together that I would love to see us in the place where if we ever get like a big offering or a big like a tithe, right? Because sometimes people give money for a specific thing. We as a church honor that, right? So if you go, I want this money to go to kids ministry. I don't take 18% of that, whatever, and give it to something else. If you give it with a specific thing you're giving towards, I honor what you're giving it towards. And it goes straight, all of it goes straight into kids ministry, right?
Yeah.
So, but I was telling them, I would love us to see if we're in the place someday where big tithe comes in and we automatically take half of it, 75% of it, whatever it is, right? We take a majority of it and we just sow it back into something. We just give it away. That's still on my list.
Yeah.
That's still on my bucket list for us to be in the place where we can be that generous with the things we have. I want us to be more generous in our city. I think we're doing some phenomenal stuff,
100%.
right? We have the amazing Bob Wunsch who helps run our Life Essentials, right? And so, which is our clothing bank and food bank, a lot of amazing stuff that happens there. We have the community gardens, we have the neighborhood green space, we have our elementary school, we have our outreach pastor, Bro Drew, who does stuff, not only mission trips, further out, but also does things local with McLaren, the youth facility.
Yep.
here, also with Teen Challenge, people coming out of recovery. We support local organizations that work with people who live in our neighborhoods who help pour in, and we try to serve them and be a blessing to them. So we're doing a lot of those things,
Yeah.
but I believe churches exist to serve.
Yeah.
Okay, ultimately what it is. So
Yeah.
I was even telling our financial team last night, I was saying, we're looking at how much money we have to give. There is a need. Can we give? And I do not believe that our churches, we have a budget. I
Yeah.
believe in budgets. I'm big in stewardship. I'm big in using wisdom, right? But ultimately, I do not believe that churches are supposed to be places that hoard money. I believe they're supposed to be places that give and are generous to their community.
Yeah.
Right? So we do not exist as a place that just sees how much money we can collect. I want the money to flow out to bless people.
Yeah.
And so that is one of the ways I see us moving forward as well in it is, the next time someone gives you a generous gift, is your first thought, oh, what can I buy with it? Or is the first thought, Lord, what are you asking me to do with it?
Yeah.
And maybe he'll say, yeah, go buy something with it. Okay, awesome, great, right? But maybe he'll say, actually sow it. I want you to sow all of it,
Yeah.
part of it, some of it, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so that's just, I see us being better with that. I would love our reputation as a church, right, to be that's a generous church.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Because then I think we're doing a good job of reflecting what love is.
Yeah.
Right? Because we give because we love our city.
Yeah.
We give because we love people, and you get reputations for all sorts of things. We've been around long enough. I've only been leading here in this capacity for about 4 years. The church has been around for 40 plus years.
Yeah.
So we have, people know us for different things and stuff like that. Today, even did you heard this
I was
already?
gonna say it.
Yeah, Lisa, our who runs our front desk right now, she got a phone call from someone who said that they go to a different church here in town,
Yeah.
and they were talking to then their adult son went with them to church, and they ran into someone there, and they were talking to this individual, and they're like, "Oh, do you go to church here?" And the individual said, "No, I go to Life Church, our
Yeah.
church, right?" But they were there for a kids program or something like
Yeah.
that, And the lady said that her son said, "Oh, I know that church. That's the church where the pastor preaches in flip-flops." And the lady called us to say, "We're going to come visit your church because my son said he wanted to come here because he heard your pastor, preaches in flip-flops. I'm wearing shoes because this is podcast. And I'm trying to be honoring to you all, not show you all my feet all the time." But so the lady, we were laughing because the lady called, and her son, who doesn't go to church either,
Yeah.
the reputation we have is that
You wear flip-flops.
I wear flip-flops, and that's the reputation we have in this. I'm like, oh, that's so crazy. So you get reputation for all sorts of things. That's a funny one. I'm like, I would love for our reputation to be that we are generous, and caveat just for the sake of it,
Yeah.
right? I'm a big believer too that people do not get to demand what generosity looks like from you. You are generous as unto the Lord because your generosity is not based upon what people think or what you have. It's based upon the kingdom of God, what he is asking you to do in his will. So there are times people say, well, you're not generous. You didn't do what I want. Generosity is not us doing what you want. Generosity is asking the God, how do we serve, right? And being obedient to that.
Yeah.
So I think there's also just that's a fine line,
Yeah.
right? But I think it's an important one of I cannot let other people set the tone for what generosity is. If it's truly the will of God, then I am serving how God commands us to be generous.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, because there's so many aspects to generosity.
Yeah.
There's the financial,
Yeah.
which is what we can get heavy on.
Yep, easy.
But then there's the time. There's your words.
Yeah.
And then there's countless other things that you can come up with that you can be generous with.
Yeah.
Even just your house.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about being generous with your house. And I think a lot of times people get caught up in our westernized culture gets caught up in it's one thing and one thing only.
Yeah.
When you could just be really kind and giving me good words or giving me time.
I can be generous with my encouragement.
Your encouragement. Yeah, you can, Andrew.
Like I can.
I know you can be.
I rocked it, by the way. You missed it.
Oh,
but
dang it.
I rocked it. You missed your chance.
I'm waiting for
it,
my once a year.
Yeah, it happened and it was amazing. So you should have been at the Christmas party.
Did you say it to me? No.
So I sent it to the room for
The
you.
room.
So yeah.
Oh well, I guess.
And we talked about how you missed it in the room.
Wow,
So
you're gonna have to tell me after this podcast. But yeah, so I think I think I'm excited to hear about the financial side,
Yeah.
but I'm also excited that we're talking more about the practicalities of it too,
Yeah.
because I think we can get so caught up in what like you're saying, like what we think it should look like.
Yeah.
And if the Lord is just telling me step out of your comfort zone and do something,
Yeah.
that's a level of generosity because I'm sacrificing my comfort for
Yeah.
this
100%.
and doing what the Lord tells me to do. So all right. Well, if you want to listen to more podcasts, you can listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon. If you want to go catch this last week's sermon, check out YouTube or all those other platforms. Have a good week.
See